Number 1.
Helen Karipidis was the third child of 6 born to Theo and Paula Karipidis on December 10, 1978 in Australia. The Karipidises lived in a townhouse at 454 Illawarra Road in Marrickville, Australia, a suburb of Sydney. In 1987, Theo and Paula separated, and Paula was awarded custody of the children. On December 22, 1988, Helen, 10, and 3 of her siblings were at a playground just meters from their home. Helen was playing with 2 of her friends in a sand pit. She was with them until about 4:30 p.m. or 5 p.m. Paula hollered for the children to come home for dinner. Her siblings made it back, but Helen wasn't behind them. When she hadn't returned by 7 p.m., her family started searching for her, knocking on every door and calling out for her. Some reports say 8:30 p.m. Helen was nowhere to be found. Police initially focused on Theo Karipidis as a suspect. At the time of his daughter's disappearance, he struggled with alcohol addiction. The local media reported that Theo abused his children because of his addiction and that Helen ran away because of it. Her family never believed Helen ran away. She was only 10 years old and took no belongings with her. Police eventually concluded Helen was likely abducted. At first, they thought she was abducted at the playground, but later said she may have been taken from surrounding Glen, View, and Hill streets. Authorities spent months searching for Helen, and the New South Wales government offered a $50,000 reward for information leading to an arrest. No one came forward. The biggest problem in the investigation was a lack of evidence and few leads to go on. Years after Helen Karipidis vanished, her older brother, Ilias Karipidis, was searching the internet when he came across a video of a woman who claimed her kids knew what happened to Helen because they had witnessed it. She also claimed they told a psychiatrist named Dr. Ann Schlebaum about the claims. Ilias started searching for the mystery woman. He eventually found her, and the two briefly spoke on the phone. Ilias asked if he could speak to her children to hear firsthand what they knew about his sister, but he never heard back. The children claimed they witnessed Helen's ritualistic murder in a church. NEWS9.com.au contacted the woman for comment, but it is unclear if she reached out. However, someone was able to get in touch with Dr. Schlebaum via email. She remembered Helen and the children, but said she no longer had their files. The children were quite detailed and consistent in their information, but hardly anybody believed them, as was the general attitude to ritual abuse, although there were many proven cases overseas, said Dr. Schlebaum in an email to News 9. The police, Royal Commission and Yaxfax Child Welfare under different names found it all too hard and took the easy way out by disbelief. I'm sure it happened, and there was credible evidence. In 2012, a coroner inquest was held in Helen Karipidis' disappearance. A teacher of Maria's, Anne Martin, told the inquest that Maria and her siblings had been severely abused by her father, Theo. One time, she said, he had one of them on the floor and he had his foot on their neck, Anne said. Anne established a close bond with Maria, so the girl trusted her. She felt responsible for the disappearance because she said she should have gone with her that night, Anne said. She said that she told Helen not to go alone, not to ever go anywhere alone without her. She said that Helen was very unhappy and wanted to run away. But Maria also told Anne about another disturbing incident. Maria also claimed a nice man regularly took both girls to King's Cross, where they took their clothes off and were photographed, Bodkin, 2012. She kept saying that no one could help her, Anne said. Theo and Paula were both present at the inquest and stated that Maria had bipolar disorder and would make things up. However, Anne said she always found Maria to be honest and truthful. The coroner ruled Helen Karipidis had likely been abducted and killed. No one has ever been charged with Helen's death. Helen Karipidis' family was never the same again. Her father continued drinking and her mother cried every single day. Her disappearance was extremely hard on her older sister, Maria, who was 13 at the time. She never got over the loss and suffered from mental illness. At the age of 18, Maria Karipidis committed suicide. Ilias Karipidis continues searching for his sister. It is unclear what happened to the rest of the family.
Number 2.
The woman in the bus depot, the perpetrator, was amiable and chatty Eleanor Williams tearfully told the police. This was long ago, after Williams, young and naive, had been tragically preyed upon, investigators said. Today, it's a cold case. The woman, whose crime in the terminal that day shattered Williams' psyche, was African American and appeared to be in her 20s, Williams recalled, speaking publicly for the first time in decades about a mystery that has perplexed D.C. police. Williams said the stranger's perfidy left her so mired in guilt and shame that she later contemplated killing herself. The woman, about 5'3" and slender, struck up a conversation with Williams in the passenger waiting area, cooing over Williams' infant daughter. After a while, in the sweetest voice, she asked whether she could hold the child. Please? Just for a minute? She said her name was Latoya. Which might have been a lie. Who knows? She said she was headed out west, maybe also a lie. Williams was 18 then, on December 2, 1983, a date that haunts her. She had grown up on a 9-acre farm in southeastern Virginia, and she still lived there. Before that morning, when she set out for Kansas by motor coach with her daughter, she had never ventured more than 30 miles from her home, she said. Her baby, April Nicole Williams, 3½ months old, was bundled in a pink and white snowsuit. The trip's first leg, 200 miles, brought them to downtown Washington, to the old Trailways Depot at 12th and I Streets Northwest, which closed not long afterward. They were scheduled for a 3-hour afternoon stop. Carrying April and her diaper bag, Williams, who had been awake since before dawn, trudged into the station and sat down wearily, with 1,200 miles of highway still ahead of her. Latoya, if that was really her name, came over next to me at some point and just started talking to me, Williams said recently at her Connecticut apartment, sobbing as she described the awful mistake she made 34 years ago. Latoya was being friendly, asking me lots of questions. Like, where are you going? And, how old is your baby? She was nice, you know? Then she was like, do you mind if I hold her? And I was sitting right next to her, right there, so I said okay, and I let her. Until lately, Williams, 52, hadn't spoken publicly about her firstborn child since the week in 1983, when her world fell apart. She kept the memories mostly to herself, buried under a weight of sorrow. In her apartment, she shared the story haltingly, pausing for long stretches to gather her composure. The woman, cradling April, said the baby needed a diaper change, Williams recalled. She said, "Oh, I'll take her to the bathroom. You look tired." And I was skeptical, like, well, okay, I guess. Because I was tired. And I thought about it, but I had already said okay, and she had already got up and taken her to the bathroom. And then, I don't know, about 10 minutes later, when she didn't come back, I started getting nervous. Williams struggles every day to live with this. She entrusted her infant daughter to a stranger in a bus station, some woman. Latoya was her name, or maybe not. She went to change her, Williams said, and I never saw them again. I blame myself. 1 year ago yesterday, a 3-month-old girl was kidnapped at the old Trailways bus terminal in downtown Washington, prompting one of the largest and longest manhunts in the city's history. Today, while the chance of the baby's return has decreased, the hope, it seems, has not. The Washington Post, December 3, 1984. There's still hope, although very little. She weighed 11 pounds when she vanished. Assuming she is alive, she turned 34 last summer. I'm pretty sure this is the only cold case kidnapping we have, the only stranger kidnapping, where we still have a victim out, Commander Leslie Parsons, head of the D.C. Police Criminal Investigations Division, said recently. Parsons wouldn't discuss details of the case, but apparently there isn't much to say. About the only thing we can do proactively at this point is put it out in the media, he said. Hopefully someone will see it, and they'll call us. When another anniversary of the abduction rolled around in December, the department issued a news release, a standard plea for help. The infant victim was named April Williams. She has a small birthmark on top of her left wrist in a straight line. The statement was a terse rendition of the basic facts, repeated by police many times through the years, including details from the mother's 1983 recollection of her chat with the kidnapper. The suspect could have a sister named Letitia or Natisha, the department said. The suspect could have the astrological sign of Leo. The suspect is described as having a dark brown complexion and spots on her face. Her ears were pierced with 2 holes in each ear. It said of Latoya, she could go by Renee or Renee Latoya. A few weeks ago, the detective handling the case contacted Williams in Connecticut, where she has lived since 1988, and asked her to speak with the news media. Publicity is good for cold cases, he told her. You shake the tree, and something might fall out. Plus, it's the internet age. The last time Williams talked publicly about April, in the days right after the kidnapping, stories and photos didn't routinely circle the planet as they do now. Williams balked at sitting for an in-person interview, telling a reporter on the phone that Connecticut was her safe haven, that she wanted to be left alone there, free of the painful past. She said she has tried for years to block out what happened, to rid her memory of everything about that afternoon, except for April's little face. Then, after a few days, she changed her mind and said okay. Then, the next morning, she cancelled. Then, later in the week, she phoned and said all right, come to Waterbury. Of course I blame myself, she said in her apartment. Her hands were trembling. I blame myself every minute, right up to this minute. It's been 34 years, and it's not something that's over. I deal with it every day, whether I talk about it or not. It's always on my mind. It's always, how could you be so stupid? Why? Why did you do it? She lives alone and works as a surgical technician, helping physicians with their instruments in operating rooms. She is extremely close to her grown son and daughter, both born after April. She has 2 grandchildren and hopes for more, she said. There were times when I was younger, when I wanted to commit suicide, I just felt so bad and so guilty, she said. But my other kids were always my strength. Like, what would they do if anything ever happened to me? I remember coming home one night after work and thinking, I could just drive off the road into a tree, and nobody would ever know that I wanted to do this. And then I thought about my other kids. Williams was 4 when her mother died in 1969, on Christmas night. She is the second youngest of 6 siblings and was raised by her father on her paternal grandparents' farm near Suffolk, Virginia. In late 1982, when she was a senior in high school, she found out she was pregnant. I wasn't happy about it, she recalled. I mean, I was 17 years old. I didn't want to have a baby. I thought about having an abortion, but I decided not to. There's something about when babies start moving and kicking. You know there's something inside you, and it's like a bonding. It's just some kind of way special. April was born August 17, 1983, 2 months after her mother's high school graduation. Williams said the father was a local teenager who wanted no part of parenthood. She saw no future with him either, and they lost touch after the baby arrived. By then, Williams was interested in someone else, a soldier in Kansas, a young man she had never seen. One of her brothers was in the army, stationed at Fort Riley, and he had mentioned his sister Eleanor to a buddy named Kevin. She and Kevin became pen pals during her pregnancy, trading letters and photos for months and talking by phone. In November that year, Kevin wired her money for a bus ticket to Kansas so they could meet and spend the holidays together. Williams had never been out of Southeast Virginia. She made it as far as Washington, where she wound up spending a week, frightened, disoriented, often panicked, with news lights flashing and detectives pressing her, wanting to know this, wanting to know that, then more detectives, asking, demanding. These were stone-hard questions from stone-hard men with badges, the gist of the queries being, what did you do to her? Tell us. Where is she? Latoya took her. And a polygraph examiner, quietly, in a mortician's voice, did you sell your baby? At last, when the police seemed satisfied with her story, Williams was gently sent on her way, home to the farm. She said she hasn't set foot in the district since. And I never will go back, ever. Birthdays spent wondering mother of kidnapped baby hypnotized post headline, March 10, 1984. Latoya had short hair, dark and wavy. She wore green pants and a white ski jacket with a purple floral lining. Williams told the detectives that. The Post reported at the time that the woman in the bus station had taken the baby with her to a fast food counter to buy sodas. This detail showed up in the newspaper repeatedly, but it wasn't accurate, Williams said. She recalled reading it that week. And she said the mistake didn't surprise her because she had learned, in just a few hours' time back then, to never trust anyone she doesn't know. Police, reporters, strangers in bus depots trust nobody. That's how I am now, she said. I'm always going to be that way. These days, there would almost certainly be video footage of some Latoya walking into a bus terminal. Security cameras would capture her in the waiting area, would record her chatting up a young mother, then heading to a restroom or wherever, and sneaking out of the station with a tiny bundle in her arms. But the Latoya of 1983 stole a baby in the pre-surveillance age. If we had images of the suspect, Parsons said, we'd definitely put them out to the public. She is a ghost. Hours after the abduction, the driver of a metro bus and several passengers reported seeing a woman on the bus who matched the suspect's description. The woman, carrying an infant, got off at Rhode Island Avenue and 18th Street Northeast, near the Prince George's County line, the witnesses said. Squads of police officers canvassed the area for days, knocking on doors. But the trail, if it was a trail, went cold. Deep in Virginia, meanwhile, Williams grew tired of being stared at. I just couldn't deal with everybody looking at me and talking about me and having something to say about my situation, she recalled. It was always, she gave her baby away. People were always whispering that. Or, she's just not fit to have a child. I mean, the way people are, they're cruel. They're mean. Until something happens to them. A month after the abduction, Williams left the farm for Kansas again on a motor coach. Emotionally she was immature, still an adolescent, she said. Kevin, the Fort Riley soldier, was there when she got off the bus. All I needed him for was to have a baby to replace April, Williams said. He knew the only reason for me visiting him was because I wanted to get pregnant again, because I wanted another April. I thought it was going to make me feel better. I thought it would make it hurt less. But actually all it did was make it hurt more. She soon lost touch with Kevin. Their daughter was born the following September. Williams asked that the daughter's name not be published, for privacy's sake. She is 33 and understands the circumstances of her conception. Williams told her the story when she was a teenager. She also told her son, born in 1986. The three have had many long conversations about April and the emotional impact of her disappearance, Williams said. She said they are parent, daughter, son, and the best of friends. And the siblings know that every August 17, they should leave their mother alone. I always spend April's birthday by myself, Williams said. I don't want to be around my other kids because that's me and April's day. I sit and just think about her, hold on to her picture, cry. And I just wonder what she could be doing. Her voice was pleading. All the stuff they do in school, the awards they get. Did she get any awards? You know, the prom, homecoming, graduation. Did she go to the prom? What did she grow up to be? Does she have a career? Does she have kids? Williams gazed at the small tabletop in front of her. Did she have a wedding? Did she have ... It's pointless, always pointless. For answers never come.
Number 3.
Crytal Ann Tymich was born on September 23, 1987, to Jane Newman and Mario Tymich, and grew up in south-central LA. It is unclear if her parents ever married, but in 1994, she split her time between Newman's home in Santa Monica and Tymich's at 6018 Brynhurst Avenue. Crytal was visiting him on June 30, 1994. It was the last time he saw his little girl. There are two versions of what happened leading up to Crytal's disappearance that I found in newspaper articles. I'm not sure which one is correct, so I include both. At 2 p.m. on Thursday, June 30, 1994, Crytal, 6, was bike riding with her three older brothers, 12, 10, and 8, at the time, in Tymich's neighborhood. The boys went ahead of Crytal, and she was gone when they turned to look back. As described by Crytal's brother in 2005. Jeffrey Tymich said Crytal and their younger brothers threw peaches over the roof of a house to see who could throw the farthest. Jeffrey Tymich and his brothers ran home when they heard their grandmother calling for them because the family planned to watch The Lion King. When the boys looked back, Crytal was gone. More than 100 police officers with the Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD, searched for Crytal Ann Tymich in the 6000 block of Brynhurst Avenue, but failed to find any clues leading to Crytal's whereabouts. The little girl's disappearance prompted LAPD to call a localized tactical alert, which kept officers on duty after their shifts ended. LAPD cancelled the alert at 4:30 a.m. on July 1, 1994, but continued searching for Crytal on their regular shifts with zero luck. Newman said that Tymich's neighbors had seen Crytal wandering off several times on June 30 and brought her back to her brothers. Newman also said that Crytal had talked about running away. In early 1996, Detective Tim Brewer of the Corvallis Police Department in Corvallis, Oregon, asked for the public's help locating Crytal after she was reportedly seen near the Corvallis-Benton County Public Library and Cub Foods in September and October 1995. However, he provided no further information. In 1997, Norm Wigginton and Rebecca Gold put Crytal's photograph on the backs of 4 Wigginton's plumbing services trucks, along with pictures of 2 other missing Southern California girls. Deseret News, May 25, 1997. Those 2 girls were Nancy May Huang, 14, missing since April 30, 1996, and Jessica Eva Hill, 9, missing since September 2, 1995. Jessica was found in 2010. Her mother had taken her away from her abusive father. It is unclear what happened to Nancy. No information is available on her. Crytal's case was revived in 2005 when more than 100 law enforcement officials searched the house directly across Tymich's. Authorities never publicly said if the search was linked to Crytal's disappearance. The only things they found were animal and fish bones. Jeffrey Tymich said a female reverend lived in that house when Crytal disappeared. The woman often invited the neighborhood kids into her home for religious services. She did not live there in 2005, and her identity is unknown. It does make me wonder if the police got a tip about the reverend and Crytal's body buried in the crawlspace. As far as I can tell, there has been zero activity with this case since the search of the neighbor's home in 2005. The family has set up a Facebook page for Crytal. Crytal Ann Tymich would have turned 32 years old on September 23, 2019.
Number 4.
Francheska Sujal Martinez was 12 years old when she was last seen in Paterson, Passaic County, New Jersey on June 9, 2000. She ran away from her home the day before her 13th birthday, June 10. Her twin sister, Misheila, stated they were in their home at 17th Avenue and East 22nd Street at around 10 a.m. when Francheska said she was going to the store. Misheila stated she saw her sister walking towards the store from their kitchen window. When the girl's stepfather came to the store a few minutes later, he found that Francheska had never arrived there. At 1:30 p.m., Francheska called home and spoke to Misheila, saying she was with friends at the Great Falls on the Passaic River. She asked her sister not to tell anyone and then hung up. She has not been heard from since. Francheska is a Hispanic female with braces on her teeth at the time of her vanishing. She has brown hair with brown eyes, 4'5'4'7" in height, and 110 to 120 pounds at the time. She has a mole on her right breast and a discoloration on her left arm. She was last seen wearing a blue denim miniskirt and a pink sleeveless blouse. Francheska told friends that she wanted to attend the Puerto Rican Day Parade in Manhattan, New York on June 11. It is unclear whether she ever arrived there. Her friends have also reported that she was dating a 22-year-old man that her family did not know about. A few days after her disappearance, the clothes that Francheska had been wearing on the day she vanished, minus the shoes, were found in a supermarket bag in the driveway outside of her mother's house, undamaged. On July 22, 6 weeks after her twin sister disappeared, Misheila had also vanished. She left a letter for her mother, chastising her for not loving their stepfather and for alleged infidelity in the marriage. The letter also stated that the girls were unhappy at home. Their mother claims she was not having an affair with anyone at this time. Misheila is a Hispanic female with brown hair and green eyes. At the time she vanished, she was 4'7'5'1" and 100 pounds. She has a freckled complexion, a mole on her buttocks and a small scar near her nose. She was wearing a ring with a small stone in the center. Both girls are of Puerto Rican descent. A possible theory is that the twins both left of their own accord and may be traveling together, possibly in the New York City boroughs of Brooklyn or the Bronx. There are also theories that the girls are victims of human trafficking. Another theory is that the girls' stepfather, Hippolito Miguel Corneal, was involved. A few months after Francheska and Misheila disappeared, Hippolito killed a young woman and served a 17-year sentence for the crime. He was released in 2017. The girl's brother believes one of his sisters was pregnant with Hippolito's child in 2000, but there is no evidence to support this. Many agencies classify the sisters as runaways. Their disappearances remain unsolved. If you have any further information, please contact the Paterson Police Department at 973-881-6800.